Well, Oprah Winfrey has dispelled rumors of a possible 2020 presidential run, but her friend, Marianne Williamson, a best-selling author and spiritual guru, announced that she intends to make her own bid potentially for the White House.
Hi, I'm Marianne Williamson. I'm considering running as a candidate for the Democratic nomination for the presidency in 2020. It's going to be a co-creative effort, an effort of love and a gift of love to our country and hopefully to our world, by which we take the United States of America back to the truth of who we are. That's why I might do this.
And Marianne Williamson joins me here on set. Great to have you here.
Thank you.
I want to ask you, what made you consider a presidential run?
Well, I think that I, like millions and millions of Americans, feel that our country is in crisis. And I think our president should be someone who has had a career working with people in crisis and systems in crisis. I think the traditional political conversation addresses the symptoms rather than the causes of what is most ailing us. And I think many of us realize that. I think the traditional political conversation includes what could be likened to really good car mechanics. But who was driving the car that brought us into this ditch? You know, what we think of as qualified politicians who took us into Iraq and took us into Iran, the qualified politicians who took us to a wealth inequality worse than anything since 1929, qualified politicians who have taken us to a point where millions of Americans' children go to school where there aren't even working toilets, qualified politicians who have taken us to the point where our environment and our democracy are in peril. We need a new conversation.
Now, for people who might not be familiar with you, you are friends with Oprah. You've come on her show before. Have you spoken to her about this bid?
I told her yes.
What was her response?
Oprah is someone who will do, and I think this is why we all love her. She has a profound moral compass. She will do, I'm sure, when it comes to the presidency, as she has done before. She will look within her own conscience, and I'm sure she will end up supporting the person who she feels represents the best ideas moving forward. And I would not ask for anything. I would never be so presumptuous to ask anything different. Everybody would want Oprah's support. The fact that she is a good friend, as is anyone. The fact, particularly at this time, this early in the process, someone might love you and support you going for this. That doesn't mean they're going to quote unquote support you. This is too serious to be on that kind of a superficial level.
It is serious. And in 2014, you ran for Congress in California. You finished fourth.
Out of 16.
What did you learn from that loss?
Well, I learned that it's very naive to run as an independent. I learned that you have to, I thought that because I understood the issues, that I could hit the ground running as a congresswoman. What I vastly underestimated was the fact that I didn't understand how to run a political campaign.
So you learned that.
You learn from failure in life as much as you learn from success, sometimes more.
When you talk about that failure, 2020 is going to be a crowded field for Democrats, incredibly crowded. How do you compete against a Kamala Harris or a Joe Biden who have so much money already in their coffers at this point?
Well, first of all, I think it's going to be very healthy for our democracy that so many people are running. I think it'll be healthy for the Democratic Party. I don't think of myself as running against anyone. I think of myself as running with a whole bunch of people, all of whom I respect, the ones that I know of anyway, who have really important things to say. But they are talking about the symptoms of a problem. I'm talking about the causes as well as the symptoms. I think we need a president who has a sense of the psychological, emotional, and even philosophical dimensions of what is truly out of whack in this country and can speak to that in people. Otherwise, we're going to continue, I guess, with a car that runs, but what road are we on? And I feel I can speak to that because that's what I've been doing for 35 years. The question isn't the qualifications I have that I don't have. The question is that I think I have some qualifications that are needed for a 21st century presidency.
When you look at political experience, President Trump had no political experience. He was able to get to the White House. How do you think you would be different?
Well, I think some people are upset by his lack of experience, but I don't think the problem was just that the president did not understand some of the traditional political norms. It's that he doesn't care about them. I would be very different, first of all, in that we would bring some dignity and decency back to the White House. On your program, I was watching how what's going on with Saudi Arabia and how apparently our Secretary of State says that you can promote your values around the world and still have strategic partnerships with countries that display no such values. Well, the hypocrisy there is so absurd. No, you're not promoting your values if you're not willing to stand on them. The president is very transactional, and I am relational. both in terms of how we respond to other countries, but also in terms of getting to the deeper level of where we are out of our moral and ethical center with what democracy is itself. I don't think he has a visceral taste for democracy, and I do.
Would you ever pray for President Trump?
I pray for him daily.
You do?
I think the world, yes, I do, and I think it's a good idea to pray for him.
You're opposed to him, you don't like his ideas, yet you pray for him.
Yes, I disagree with him politically. This is a democracy. He is not my king, and he is not a dictator, but he is a human being. And I do not have to agree with him. Freedom doesn't mean we have to agree with each other. Freedom means we are free to disagree. I disagree with him, and I disagree with him passionately, obviously, or I wouldn't be doing this. But he is an innocent child of God, and I think that the world is not served by his being in such a state of chaos. Mm-hmm. I think the world is served by his finding himself again. He is president.
One of our CBSN staffers, I asked them, who follows you, I said, what's the best piece of advice she's ever given that you've heard? And they said it was, success starts in your head. How do you take that and create success, whether it is anything that, whether it's a presidential run or succeeding in life?
I feel that I think success means living a more meaningful life. That's part of what's out of whack in America. Success is only the money, the money, the money. That has corrupted us. It has corrupted our economic system. It has corrupted our democracy because it has placed our democracy at the service of that kind of corruption, where market forces have become our false god. Love is our God. Love should be our bottom line. We should not run this country like a business. We should run this country like a family. And that, to me, is success. Being in line with the better angels of your own nature, and to see that our country is a success when we are aligned with the better angels of our nature, what democracy means, what universal human values mean. We are so, our economics is off, our democracy is off, and too many of us are off. That is why there's this chronic anxiety and chronic tension. And we need to see our political issues in relation to how they contribute to that anxiety. When you have 62% of the American people who can't even make it into what they call the middle class, when 40% of Americans have a hard time making basic food costs, rent costs, transportation costs, and health costs, the level of chronic tension and anxiety that this creates.
They certainly do.
And that
we've got to run. I apologize.
Sorry.
No, I thank you very much for joining us. It was great to have you on set and to hear so early on your standpoint on all this.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for joining us.